Hey there! Welcome to Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I'm Jimmy Pardo. This week, talking about my top 5 favorite concerts.
We've got it on vinyl, CD and cassette. We've got pop, rock, heavy metal, punk, funk, rap, and new wave. All sales are final, but you never regret all the music you get at Jimmy's Records and Tapes.
I'm loving music again. You gotta see them live, man! That's what I used to hear all the time as a young man. Hi, welcome to Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I'm Jimmy Pardo. This week, as I mentioned, we're talking about my 5 favorite concerts that I've ever been to. I know this is one that is really personal, and you literally had to be there in order to agree or not agree with me, but I'd still like to walk you through them. As a young person, as a young man growing up in the south suburbs of Chicago, there was nothing more exciting than getting tickets for a concert and then going to that concert. Mainly because, look, didn't make a lot of money, maybe worked part-time, maybe it was using my allowance that I saved up to buy the tickets. So it was a big deal. And buying the tickets was an event all in itself. You would go to a Ticketmaster or a Ticketron to get the tickets. Sometimes we were at like a Sears department store, sometimes at a record store. And you would get there the night before. If it was something you really, really wanted to see, you would get there the night before. And people would be in sleeping bags, and people would sleep on the sidewalk outside of the store waiting to get tickets. And people would play the music of the band that you're waiting to see. And it was a really neat experience. And if you got there early, you got a great spot in line. If you got there late, because hey, nobody's going to be interested in seeing the Led Zeppelin reunion, a thing that never really happened, but that was my example. And you get their tickets go on sale at 10. I'll get there around 9:55. I should be fine. And then you get there and there's 7,000 people waiting, and you're like, hey, what's that line for? Maybe a new toy's coming. Wah, wah. My first concert, we got very, very lucky. When we went to buy the tickets, my mom brought me to buy the tickets, also brought me to the concert, which I thought was the weirdest thing in the world. But then as I reflect back on it, I realized that my mom is much younger than I am today. And I would still go see these guys. In fact, I just recently saw these guys in concert. I'm talking about Kiss, who I saw at the International Amphitheatre in Chicago in 1979. It was the Dynasty tour. It was me, my brother Mike, my cousin Ron, and my mom. And again, when people, oh, your mom took you? Yeah, my mom was 30, man. She liked music. Why wouldn't she want to go? Well, one could argue, well, if she likes music, she would want to see Kiss. But I'll let you snobs say that. I dug it, and I was all in, man. I thought it was the greatest thing I ever saw in my entire life. So number 5, Kiss at the International Amphitheatre in 1979. Number 4, boy, you're jumping years. A long time ago from now, but years from then as well. At the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, California, I saw Heart. And it was the first time I'd ever seen the band. And I was like, you know what, I'll go see Heart. Let's see what that's all about. Lisa Loeb opened. She was terrific. And Heart came out, and this is crazy to say, the Greek Theater was not sold out. I think that's nuts. And they had a brand new album out, Jupiter's Darling, and they did some songs from that. But when they got to Alone, and Ann Wilson hit that note that I won't even attempt to replicate, I got chills that I then have seen Heart, since that 2004 date, I've seen Heart probably 12 times in concert, because I'm like a heroin addict where I'm chasing the dragon and I want to hear her hit that note the exact same way she did that first time. And sadly, as time has gone on, so has Anne and her voice. And she never, she comes close, man, and it's still great, but she never hits it like she did that first time I saw it. And I'm jonesing for it, man. I need it, man. Number 3, at the Nokia Theater in 2014, his first tour since 1976, I saw Cat Stevens. A very rare non-aisle seat for Jimmy Pardo. I insist on being on the aisle no matter whenever I go to a show, be it a movie or a concert or really anywhere, because I'm nuts and I can't have people sitting next to me. I don't like it. I got to bubble. I got to have an out. I got to be able to get out of there, man, in case anything breaks bad. Nothing's ever broken bad, but yet I still need that. I was so excited to see Cat Stevens, I didn't care. Any seat in the place on this first tour since 76, and I was into it. And I brought my wife Danielle, who I think by the end of the show, she very much enjoyed it, but I think she was going just to support me and my nonstop chatter about how much I love Cat Stevens. And as the show was starting, a guy in the row behind me, and I may be paraphrasing exactly what he said, but he was like, "I've been waiting for this since 1976." And him saying that gave me chills, and it just really got me into the show. And then the show started, I want to say with Where Will the Children Play? And I was already getting misty, and I couldn't believe I was seeing Cat Stevens after all these years. And like any dude my age, by the time he got to Father and Son, I was a puddle. I just was, as I've talked about many times with the song Father and Son, you listen to it as you're younger, and you're in the role of the son, and then you have a child, and then you're in the role of the father. And I just was a mess. And I looked over at my wife. She was also crying. It was an amazing version of that amazing song. And the show was fantastic, and it was well worth the wait to see Cat Stevens in 2014 at the Nokia Theater. Number 2 was, I think, my third or fourth concert. It was at Chicagofest in Chicago, oddly enough. And it was the band Chicago. A lot of Chicagos in that sentence. 1982, Chicagofest, the band Chicago played. And it was, I've seen the band over 100 times. I've never seen, I think this was the third time I've seen Chicago. So I guess my math is a little off on how many concerts I had seen. But I had seen Chicago in 81, earlier in 82. This is my third time seeing Chicago. And they had an energy. They were back. Chicago 16 brought them back. They were relevant again. And I was excited to see it. Chicagofest also was a flat fee. You pay to get in, and then you could sit wherever you want. So we got there very early in the morning, and we got there. We sat in the third row because the first row was too close. You couldn't see the entire stage. So we sat in the third row center, and it was just amazing. And the band was tight, and you could see the energy. I was close enough to hear stage patter without the microphone. It was unbelievable. And like I said, I've seen them over 100 times, and that's the one that always comes up top for me. Was Chicagofest 1982. And Chicagofest was a neat thing where they had these various different stages everywhere. And but they were on the main stage. And I believe that was the year they set a record. I want to say 150,000 people were at that concert. And I was just one of them, man. So I didn't take the time to count the other 149,000. I'm just going to go by whatever that reporter said. And if he makes up that number, then I'm just repeating what he made up. You can't trust the media, man. Yeah, I call them the lame street media. I don't call them that. Before I get to my number 1, I want to quickly talk about the 2 worst concerts I was ever at. One of them, the show was great. It was Replacements in the mid-'80s at the Cabaret Metro in Chicago. The Replacements were great, but for some reason, a mosh pit broke out. I did not expect that at a Replacements show. And my buddy Paul and Dave and I, we were down there. We had what we thought were going to be great seats for the Replacements. And then this mosh pit broke out, and I got elbowed in the nose, and I got punched in the stomach. Not intentionally. Nobody was like, "Hey, look at that guy." Just boom. So I didn't like that concert for that reason, because I think I left maybe with a bloody nose. I know Paul did. And then the other one was I saw Mötley Crüe at the Forum here in Los Angeles, and I thought I was going to get beat up at any given moment. There was a lot of testosterone in that room. Not a lot of ladies. Pretty, probably more than are at a Rush concert, but still not a lot of ladies. Pretty dude heavy, and kind of a tough crowd at the Mötley Crüe show. And I did not care for it. I did not care for it musically or the crowd. I was in fear the entire time. I was in fear that they would do another song, and then I was in fear that I was going to get beat up. So those are my 2 worst concerts of all time. But number 1, and this is a surprise, as much as a surprise to me as it will be to you guys, 2006 at the Hollywood Bowl, Roger Waters did the Dark Side of the Moon tour, where he played the Dark Side of the Moon. The second set was that in its entirety. He opened up with some songs, took a break, came back, did Dark Side of the Moon in its entirety, took a break, came back out and did 3 more songs. And it was unbelievable. I wasn't even a Pink Floyd fan, but it was like, I had heard a rumor that David Gilmour was going to show up. And I was like, well, I got to be there for that history. Well, why, Jim? You don't care about Pink Floyd? Yeah, but it's very important that I be there. So I went with my buddy Mike, and it was freezing outside. And in the first intermission, we were like, hey, do you want to go, man? It's freezing. And we're like, nah, let's stick it out. Let's see how this goes. And we stayed till the very last note was played. It turned me into a Pink Floyd fanatic. I've now seen Roger Waters in concert, I want to say 5 times. I've seen Gilmore a couple of times. It changed everything for me. So number 1 is Roger Waters and the Dark Side of the Moon tour that I saw at the Hollywood Bowl. Hey guys, it's time for this week's Jimmy's Choice. As a reminder, Jimmy's Choice is not unlike the movie Sophie's Choice, where Meryl Streep had to decide between which one of her children live. That's kind of what this is. This is me getting a couple of bands or artists on the screen, and I have to decide which one stays and which one hits the road. You can submit yours to @JimmyPardo, and maybe your head-to-head battle will show up on a future episode of Jimmy's Records and Tapes, and my staff will go through them, and then they put it up on the screen. Today's comes to us from @BlackSab67, @BlackSab67, and he wants to know, do I like Black Sabbath better with Ozzy, or do I like Black Sabbath better with Ronnie James Dio? Which one of those gets to stay, and which one gets to kick heavy metal rocks? Here's the thing, and this is interesting to me, and probably not to you, but it's interesting to me. I like Ozzy solo, and I'm okay with him with his Black Sabbath catalog and his time at Black Sabbath. I don't really like Ronnie Dio's solo stuff, but I love him in Black Sabbath. So I think what this gentleman is asking me is, do I like Sabbath Dio, Sabbath Ozzy? I think I gotta go Sabbath Dio. And I know that is sacrilege, I know that's craziness, but that is, for my ear, I think I prefer Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio, although I love Ozzy solo stuff. Before I go, I will tell you that here's how you can tell the difference between the Ozzy does this and Ronnie does that. So I might have those two reversed, by the way. The point is this. I guess I'm going to go Black Sabbath 67. I'm going with Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio. Hey, that is this week's Jimmy's Records and Tapes. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked it, click the like button. Tell your friends about it. Have a viewing party, right? Via Zoom, of course. Be safe. I'm on Twitter @Jimmy Pardo. Also, I host the award-winning podcast, Never Not Funny. If this is your bag, come and join me over there for more of this nonsense. Until then, the record is back in its sleeve.